as our lovely full moon comes about, we begin our messages. Number one, I just watched the video that says the number one thing that people regret the most, in essence, after 10 years of therapy, it's about relationships and sticking to the ones that don't work. And I'm like, well, actually, I was thinking with Stephen Porges mentioning it's not the story, and Bessel van der Kolk mentioning, yes, the sensations. You don't tell your trauma story with words because it's all feelings. And then, Terrio also out there talking to people about learning to love themselves first. Oh, and Patrick Tian to heal childhood trauma. It's pretty straightforward. So I know that lovely therapists get on here on YouTube like I get here, but I'm a 5D mystic, mentor, content creator, podcast host. I'm considered pseudoscience woo lady by the sciences. But it's okay because I actually believe. No, it's not believing. See, the word believe, I believe in God because I'm of spirit and faith and anima mundi and akash, and all of this is why I'm actually here for the full moon messages. But what I'm saying is I don't discard or discredit in any way, shape, or form data, which is very good. The sciences people join the spiritual people in the land of the living, in Sam Harris's quote. Anything that we cherish and believe in can be falsifiable because that's what smart brains know. Because we actively know quantitative, qualitative data analysis, how it builds, but actually also because spiritual people who live true spirituality, whether they call it God, divine, source, akash, whether they use words such as they think of themselves as divine, and taking things out of context. There are plenty of people, also those who find it offensive that we use words the way we want. Those are 3-year-olds who got yelled at for basically having creativity, so we don't really want to be like them, because our child parts are very free to be whatever they want to be. And when someone says, you can't, we're like, wow, you're not a fun one. And the punishing questions for those poor 8-year-olds and 4-year-olds with a dad like that, yeah, I'm sorry for you. You got a bad parent. That's a very bad parent. They're in their sympathetic, actually analyzing you like you're a little prisoner. And I'm like, wow, that's a brainstem going on. I don't like you. My mom taught me what to do with people like you. If you can't say something nice, say nothing. I just spread the word. We don't like mean grown-ups. That's an inner child right here. I will not stand near any mean. No, I will stand near anyone. Apparently, because the Christian Catholic has the Pope involved, there are those who have told me in my face, I will never speak to a Catholic. And as they're speaking to me, I'm like, should I tell them that I was raised Christian Catholic before they continue to talk to me, violating the very words that came out of their mouth in a college undergraduate, but still, bachelor's degree, political science. You're actively making it sound like you're not planning to speak to people and you are in political science. Do you know what negotiation means? Humanities, social sciences. Do you know how to actively not take something personally? When I'm in a sociology class, you ask me where I come from. Oh, wow. How am I supposed to get to know you? I really don't know what the perfect question is. So when you have egos in a room of teenagers who think they know what the best way for you to live life is, you just remember that a 3-year-old who's independent is like, wow, I met all of them. They looked very mean as 11-year-olds who did not admit to themselves that they were vulnerable just like me. And while their meanness showed no sign of Lucifer to be found, I'm like, wow, that's so sad. God, they're choosing unkindness. Patrick Tian, what was it when people don't love themselves first? They date beneath themselves. So the biggest regret, and people who chime in on people who share YouTube videos and say, yeah, it's the relationships and wasting time. Well, you wouldn't waste time if you went to a therapist to get a good gut. So you'd stop wasting time with assholes. I did as a teenager, and that's where, thank you, Mother, for having me be able to be all of me. My self-agent is my embodied brain, though, because we have personality patterns, temperament, and basically if you own your brain, mind, heart, and self, and body, by the way, that's my body. You can't spank me. So I'm a differentiated self by the age of 3. Robert Spolsky determined. He says we have no free will. There's some other lady who says you have no self or free will, and she likes to make it sound like you're all embodying spirit, which spirit, by the way, is active, the frequency of love. It's a frequency. It actually doesn't have the words. It has a sound, and I like to use equanimous, yes, common-centered, but first of all, discerning, wise, good judgment, because definitely intelligence has no gender, and it's an empowered feminine, empowered masculine, so the androgynous whatever word. And a smart spiritual person will know that nobody wins, but that empowered feminines will know what the sound of true spirit is before the masculine. You know why? Because the masculine actively is a dumb one. I have my own. It's called the left mode. It likes to put things in order, and it's not a bad thing. I do too. I just do it with the sound and frequency of that which is discerning, equanimous love. Thank you, God. His energetic imprint to me as an empowered feminine, because I have a 3-year-old right here. She didn't get broken. I'm trying to, in my child parts, I have no regrets. No, you can't. Yeah, no, I actively don't. Physically, Maria Florio doesn't have any regrets. There's one thing, and you know why it is, but it's not a regret. I spoke words to a human being. I will never forgive you. And that was not how I said it. I said it very nonchalant. I'll never forgive you for and I won't share that. And as I thought, now I can't take it back. Now they'll remember it forever. I'm like, well, do I regret it? No, because actually I got to learn that you don't want to say things when you're upset and still processing things. And at the same time, if I went back in time exactly to the same moment, would I say it again? Yes, I would. That's called I'm consciously aware of Maria Florio, who does have a self in a body that does also have a relationship with God, the divine, Akash source, and whatever it is you want. So full moon, people who are empowered aren't wasting their time in the land of the spiritual bypassers or the land of the sciences who actually want to disprove reality with AI. They're actually having fun like we are with all of this. 3D, 4D, I knew the split was coming. I just didn't realize that I would be able to explain it with being grounded, thank you Sam Harris, in reality, which means I don't deny data at all. In fact, data confirms what God had already taught me, which is my brothers and sisters have kindness, and what I saw with those 11-year-olds are, yeah, at least you're standing up for yourself. I'm not going to pretend not to be vulnerable. I'm going to choose the ones who allow me to feel safe while I'm being vulnerable. Then I found out that they're a bunch of cowards, like the teenager, the boyfriend who didn't know how to tell me the truth, and a lot of other people, though, not just him, not just a boyfriend, no, even friends, and even people that are considered, no, they are actively family members. You know what I found out from Patrick Tiahan? The pause self, you didn't lose yourself, you just never became yourself, and you have a distorted vision. No, it's a complete 3-year-old who throws a hissy fit. So when I get those people who make spiteful remarks as I'm growing up, I'm not choosing unkindness. I'm choosing confidence, kindness, and no, I won't be proving it, because you can't prove a heart, and you will continue to argue with me, because that's exactly where the adaptive child part, they're not in it for the friendship, the relationship, the authenticity. They're in it with trauma time. So the threshold to being able to own your brain, your mind, yourself, your heart, and all of that, and your body actually is being able to be an empowered feminine. So the womb is where it begins. Luckily for me, I have a twin, so I didn't have the same storm that others did in that underworld, meaning I didn't get born and be like, oh my God, I'm by myself with the bear. Nope, I'm not. I'm not actually at all alone with the bear. So when you know of your child parts and they're fast asleep, and when they come up, you know how to handle them, there's your threshold. 5D Collective, welcome aboard. It's mystics, spiritual, mindful, living, loving people who do know Anima Mundi. We accept all and reject none, because that's what smart brains do, and we also have a good time. We're also empowered egos, so we don't do like, no, I don't have an ego. We have an ego, and darkness and light are friends, because darkness is that little box that we don't need to be in, because we have access to our right mode. Put your right foot in, your left foot in, and shake it all about. You do the hokey pokey, and you don't get pissy, because there's no exiles or protectors going on. I don't need to protect me from who? Na 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 na. Ghostbusters, who are you gonna call? There's something strange in the neighborhood, and I don't call anybody because I'm a mystic. I actively have told people Patrick McNamara proves no demons. However, if you do have a brain with a fear receptor that's going wonky, which is any person who doesn't care to go and make sure that they have a window welcome to affect, well, trauma time. Not fun to watch. Nope. And it's fun to know of those who use boxes and colors, and they make it to the default mode network down regulating. Yay! So they don't scan themselves and others anymore, which is why they have true confidence, and that means self-acceptance. I can be cricket, so can you. Call me evil one more time. Watch me give a shit. I don't. Actively, as a 19-year-old, I thought we would stay friends. We became friends again. Eventually, my ex, who's a friend now, family friend, and the lovely companion. And here's what ignorant people will say. You can't love everyone the same. Yes, I actively can, because love is a consistent frequency. It's a securely attached, non-traumatized body with a whole self. Higher self is now the word. I learned it from a bunch of smart people. All I can tell you, it really feels good to be able to have my own little box, Maria's box, and that's with feelings and thoughts. That's why mindfulness, mindset, and mindset work. Because the threshold does not get me into clinical dissociation, which those who do time jumping, they really disregard all of it, but that's okay. That's their journey, 4D3D. So I have a castle, but it's not going to be inside the heart of a person who has a hole. No, that heart is actually needing to be whole with their own self-love. So people who have regrets, they didn't take going to heal their child part seriously at all. In fact, they like a story, and then they sit in an empty room with those stories, and that's very sad because they don't make it to the next until 10 years later. And even if a shaman can tell you they can heal you, if you go into the spiritual bypass route, you won't be actually the true self of you because you didn't claim your child part. So you left them all in an empty room and family in the head. It's unfortunate business, inner outer critic. So what we want and what our lovely 5D collective is that we don't have fear in our empty rooms, because we create a relationship from focusing attention, and in the full state of awareness, our personality patterns, our temperament, our attachment, security here comes up, and we can contain sensations, images, affects, meanings, or behaviors and meanings, whatever the order, as Peter Levine points out. So that's when you know you have a prefrontal cortex engaged. And so your village is a village of people who support each other. You're not battling monsters or demons. You don't have this thing called, I'm being tested and I've reached a dead end. No, this is where Kali, Shiva, and Krishna Lila come in and have a good time. Kali, that would be effectively the angry little self-agent here who's like, I want to protect me, defend me, but I'm all good because Shiva, I'm no thingness. That's that 11-year-old. But then again, I am someone. And oh, look, come on in, Krishna Lila. That's my prefrontal cortex and my 16-year-old. Let's have a good time because we learn things from smart people and we have good people around. And the liars and the cowards, well, that's not a dead end. That's just people. And there's the temple of truth. You get to say, hey, God, so no Lucifer, no demons, but I do notice cowards. What do I do with them? Patrick Tian, nothing, Maria, because they don't want to get out of their... Yeah, so when people are actively not moving into the temple of their own truth, it's because they don't move beyond their fight response. And so you get to meet their pause self and then become friends with them. And while they do that, and that's in college, I get to college and I'm seeing a bunch of people be idiots, you continue expanding. So the 5D collective has a cave where we go, and unlike Plato, who makes it sound like, oh my God, we have a good time into the unknown. We don't need superheroes or supervillains. We have a mountain, and from that mountaintop we actually talk with the frequency of love, which is equanimous and discerning, because love, again, it's not let me give you a pat on the back. That actively sounds like a bunch of cheerleaders and jocks, which I really don't find fun at all. When I got to college and met a bunch of stupid people, I'm like, what are you doing? Oh, and sensitive egos, I'm like, aren't you here to learn things? What's up with that? You're not learning anymore. Now you're just telling me how I'm supposed to speak, not to speak, what to do, what excuse me. You don't decide for my 3-year-old anything, and I don't need to use books the way you are because you apparently don't know how to use two sides of the brain. So when you meet people who get confused, no, they go chaotic or rigid, it's called cognitive dissonance, structural dissociation. They don't got a prefrontal, they got a judgment. It's called, I don't like you, and it's called, okay then. So the empowered ones, we like the river, like the song, the Billy Joel one. I've been walking in the night, right? I lost that something that nobody would ever lose, their child parts. Luckily for me, I can tell you, in the ocean blue, I consistently continue to share with you all of me, and that's without hiding. So people who are higher selves, stage 1 of when people have DID, dissociative identity disorder, and potentially disorganized attachment. Thank you too. I think this must be Ruth Lanus or Deb Dana, but it is to get to know the protective parts and have them relax, to validate all of them, all the protective responses, and to have them relax, and then to have the person grow a relationship with those parts. I don't talk about my self parts in any way because I have consistently had them under my wing, meaning Maria is in the lead, thank you mother again, and twin, and my younger sister, because that's actively the first people of your life, but I was 11 when my younger sister came in. So into the forest you go, and the magical rainbow, for those who are of our 5D collective, also get through a desert, and they don't ask for help because they don't need help actively. They will have a good gut. When somebody does need help, that good gut will also tell them, I need extra help. And that's why some people that go to get good therapy, it's because they realize I'm playing trauma time on a wheel. I don't want to bring my projection into the room. So they don't regret anything because they will, by the time they're 19, like Patrick Tian, who had somebody say, wow, look, here's a therapist, maybe you can, and he became a therapist. So when people care to be spiritual, yes, live a life of meaning and connection as a human, true spirituality. It's beyond the solo self. So the bridge is that you have a self, I have a self, you have an ego, I have an ego, you have a body, heart, mind, and you do have a potential soul for those of you who believe in the soul. But if you don't, you can talk about it as the heart. It's when your heart is open. My heart stayed open when I saw those mean teenagers. They're not mean. They're just afraid, and they don't know how to say, I'm afraid. I do. And when they tease me about it, at least I have balls to say I'm afraid. You obviously don't have balls or a vagina, and you asking punishing questions to your children makes you an asshole to a person like me, and I will continue to let you all know it's not because it's right or wrong. It's that as an empowered feminine, I got Kali in the room with Shiva and Krishna Lila punishing questions. Go do your job in an office, not in your home. Wow, wow, wow. With a woman who thinks it's hard work to keep a relationship. No, not really. I'm not performing. This is not an act. My default mode network actively is disengaged from doing anything. It's, oh, hey, Eric, I got a voice. What do you want? And I use myself as a story because that's exactly how it feels when you're an empowered higher self. It's fuck that shit. What are you doing? What is this? Facade friend. Don't talk to him for 5 years. All of a sudden, out of nowhere, I don't believe in this, I don't believe in I get in the car. And so thanks to my friends, I learned how the one, and that's where twin flames, all that. The one moves to the one, to the no one, but the one and only. Oh, the one and only, yes. For those of us of spirit and source, we do know what equanimity and discernment mean. And love. And that's why we don't give each other pats on the back. There isn't 144 chosen ones. There's 8 billion and growing. Every single speck of anything, whether you're a human being or a star being or whatever being, we're all pure love, except for the ones who decide to go the pure fear route. Well, I'm not sure they're a pure fear, but essentially the one will be channeled through an open heart of those of you who own yourself. And that's where we will know who they are. They're analogical. And they're also logical. So they use both sides of the brain, the right to be analogical and to also bring all these things consilience approach. So we look at it, don't take it out of context. We organize with the black and white thinking and we say, oh, look. And then the empowered masculines come in with the other end of the stick. So we work together as a team, and the threshold, lo and behold, you have a healthy partnership. It's called Healthy Self-Worth People. We don't do, let me do some shadow and light work in your face. No, it's, hey, guess what? So today I was having a day where I felt unseen, and unheard, and, well, my buffoonery came out of me, and that's because we will know when we are being a mask of ourselves. For those who are still working to master their physical plane. I'm pretty good with mine, but I'm an empowered feminine. So I know that the empowered masculines tend to work with themselves because they go thought first. And this is not a good or bad thing. It's actively, the left mode comes online at the 2 years of age, creates stories for you, and the masculine begins with things organized. I'm not talking about a man. I'm talking about the energetic imprint, and I'm not a masculine, so I'm not talking for them. I'm talking from an empowered feminine's perspective, not a distorted one, which is why I know what the distorted feminines do. So we're going to leave that alone. But you can recognize easily when you are now feeling unseen, unheard, and unsoothed, and therefore your child part comes up because you have a relationship with that protective ex, whatever it is. You don't bring it into the room. No, you are your own healer. The threshold is not a poisonous snake, and we know the bad symbolism that some of those cultures want to give to anything, but the bad thing. So anybody who wants to give negativity into the spiritual plane, we already know who they are. They just keep using Lucifer's name, and they deny decentralizing of the self. They deny a human evolution. They deny that we expand. They deny all the smart brain scientist people who are letting anyone know, anyone who wants. The flow state, it's not supernatural, but you do need to have the embodied brain of you actively anchored in your ventral vagal state with you in a whole self that you own the sense of self, be in your prefrontal right here. All your child parts, feeling pure vulnerability, mwah, amazing from my 11-year-old. Why? Because Maria's good. I don't need to heal. I'm good. Did you go and take classes because you have trauma? We all have trauma charges. But no, I didn't do it that way because I actually have this thing called, again, let me go grab it. Besides my superpower, which is my twin, so I'm not alone in the jungle. I'm not alone with the bear. I'm never alone. My implicit memory, the womb and the mother, and I'm an empowered feminine. So I do know my threshold is empowered feminine, love her empowered masculine, because together they create a team. Look, black and white and all the rainbow and the pearls, and look, our star babies, yay. And so with that being said, nobody's going to go through 10 years of their life in regret, because it's the year 2025. And luckily we do have healthy self-worth people out there who are listening. Patrick Tiahan, they're coming to you. I know they are. And Real, the eternal child. They're going to love themselves first, and not through some stories that the orphaned child loved to put on those masks. No, they begin to notice, oh, look, let me become the eternal child and not project again this stuff. I'll talk about this stuff. So functional child adults, we get to be our own mentors, and mentors like me support those who want to walk a walk and talk a talk to be their higher self. So the full moon definitely bringing a beautiful abundance for those who have the 5D frequency, Christ consciousness, as their MO, because the threshold is owning the brain, the mind, the heart, the body, the self. Owning, observing, witnessing, narrating. You can only do that if you can contain, as Peter Levine points out, Pat Ogden, Bessel van der Kolk, sensations, images, affects, without going offline. Behaviors without going offline, which means you justify it, and actively you don't want to shame it either. The compassionate mind, okay, I just had something come up that's from my past. It has a meaning. Yes, and it's not part of source, spirit, God, devil, demon. No, it's not part of, we don't have to do any of that at this moment in time, because it's a charge. I will notice the charge, and I'm a star baby, human baby. I still have a human. I'm a self with a brain that can get integrated. So people who disregard the star, every one of our 8 billion and growing are stars. And that's where the relationship of a lifetime, it will be with the one who is, whether you're polyamory or monoamory, doesn't matter, because you got 24 hours. Actively to create a securely attached figure relationship involves 2 human beings bare minimum to have integrity, and that means consistency, and that means authenticity, and that means emotional and mental maturity, and that means functional child adults for somebody like me, and they're a mama and a papa of themselves, and they're also their star baby and the eternal child. So the 5D collective, I knew that I would figure everything out at a certain point. And lo and behold, Christ consciousness. It's just like Jesus taught me. Maria, forgive. They do not know. Blessed are those who believe without seeing. Please learn to forgive all of those unkind children. They are still children, yes. And when I meet them in real life, I'm not decent enough to be saluted. I say, ha, and sigh. It's not about decency, but fine, I'll say hello to you. But by the end of the evening, no, we won't become friends. My body's telling you no, because that's how my 3-year-old feels. And no, it's not because I'm better or worse, and not because I'm serious, because my amygdala, I already know we have nothing that we share in common. I didn't realize how many people wouldn't understand. Just, I was 4. I got rejected at 4. I got disowned at 8. What can I tell you? I have no beef with being rejected as a child. Again, I won't be playing with you because you all got mean with me, and I won't be mean back because I said to Jesus, I forgive, Jesus. I forgive and I love, and God told me not to actually try to pretend to be you or to be mean to you. So again, child parts, very easy. If you look at your thoughts in the context of the whole cosmos, lovely Sadhguru, they do not mean anything. That is true, Sadhguru, but they do mean something to us. But if you realize that, you will naturally create a distance from your thought process. He helps people to be able to sit with the ego and self. I'm adding. So your thought, yes, and your emotion. They're not who you are, but they're part of the contemplative experience. And if you don't know how to pause the self and the ego and say, hey, what's up? You're not there yet. But if you do have that opportunity, here's where it's progress to be angry as opposed to disconnected and detached. Disconnected and detached is a dorsal shutdown and hypoarousal. So there's movement when there's anger and aggression. Frank Anderson, MD. And then we go to love. Love is not a transaction, but a burning flame within you. When it burns the core of who you are, it is liberating. Now, the burning of the lovely passion of Christ and the Holy Spirit and Jesus and God that blessed me as I was growing up. Plus, being able to not have any of this shame stuff. Shame has many faces. Shame is the glue that makes difficult emotions persist. Chris Germer, PhD, I have no shame of emotions. Happiness, disgust, surprise, anger, fear, sad. Sad actually gets rid of the charges, but if it's freeing, not if you're ruminating, Zen Master, and the laundry that you got, well, that's actively you ruminating. So learning to use your prefrontal means that you're a grown-up version with a higher self who says we're all special, not just some of us, and that there is love and there is fear. And the 2 frequencies, well, as an empowered feminine and an empowered masculine will let you know, and any enlightened one of spirit and or not, dark matter, dark energy, what's up? Don't hit us, asteroid, please. Thank you so much. We're enjoying experiencing our infinite higher human conscious potential. Those of spirit, Akash, Anima, Mundi, spirit, God, divine, all of it. Again, we're not embodying it. No, we are a fragment and a piece, and really we don't even have to use it. We can use whatever those people who are more picky with it We are embodying consciousness. The sciences look at it. They talk about it as an intelligence. And your brain is a conduit, as my course with Dr. Daniel Siegel. Consciousness and change walk hand in hand with an integrated brain. Restorative, embodied, self-aware, accountable, regulating person. That's because integration of the brain means you navigate anchored in ventral vagal state and energy, and that's because your default mode network doesn't scan yourself or another. No, I'm present, curious, open, accepting, loving. Here's Krishna Lila. I'm open and accepting and loving. Why? Because you're a nervous system, and so am I. Whatever you're doing, I am a securely attached, non-traumatized person who self-regulates. So you could be pissing in your pants. I'm not pissing my pants. I'm confident. Thank you, Pat Ogden, for that. So the people who don't like us, they're called teenagers, and they stand with the crowd, and then they notice, wow, it's not making a difference. So if they have any kind of decorum, I think they'll just leave it alone, or they will maybe expand themselves. We don't know, but the full moon for 5D expands. 4D, 3D, and we leave it alone. The compassionate mind. It is developing the human's natural capacity to be deeply helpful to themselves. So when you're able to be self-help, personal development, it's because you're ready for it. The ones who are still getting all angry at each other, they create groups and, flat earthers have fun together. So for us, the compassionate mind, we know it breaks the maintenance cycle of the critic because it engages in the compassionate voice as opposed to the critic. And the compassionate voice can only come up when you have neutrality and duality, because it's in the land of neutrality, as my teacher Sue Martin said, that you will be able to explore those thoughts and emotions, because you'll be like, it is a hard day. But you won't emphasize it Zen master with laundry. You'll just say it was a day that had a lot of things going on, and it sounds ridiculous, but this makes a difference. So the full moon and people who are in our 5D collective of mystic, spiritual, and mindful living and loving, they don't think of, well, book's going to manipulate me into changing my consciousness. That's kind of like when they said, you let him get away. Who? The boyfriend. You let him get away. He wasn't my dog. I didn't have him on a leash. I don't think he got away. Actually, he made a conscious choice. And I actually tip my hat and thank the woman who did take him, because I'm finding out that there's a lot of better suitors out there. Yes, empowered masculines are way better. They're not cowards. Like empowered feminines are better. They're not cowards. And the cowards are the people who choose fear, which means they have maladaptive patterns of behavior, which means that they're stuck in their visceral like this, and they're testing each other like Tom and Jerry and Pinocchio. Have fun on the island with Pinocchio, Peter Pan, Lost Boys. I don't know. Who else are you? Pause self people. And then 10 years down the line after therapy, maybe you'll say, oh, I wasted so much time. I mean, really, it's a waste. I'm not judging suffering God. It's not a waste. Yeah, yes. Actively, it's all healable. It's the year 2025. So when people disregard that their mood is hitting a room in a way that is unnecessary, they also apparently don't know that the social construction of reality is actively in its moment transforming. The art of loving. Thank you, Eric Fromm. That's why polyamory, it's not about everybody having to be it. No, it's that we're more accepting and willfully, because like-minded people, they come together. Yes, find out who you are. And definitely, I would say interpersonal biology is way, way good, but it's a very in-depth course, and the PDP framework is actually where you want to start. So my subcortical areas, yes, I'm motivated by physical safety, fear, number one. I am a coward. I will save myself physically. I hope that I'll save you physically, but I hope not to find myself in that kind of situation. Danger. And if you wish it upon me, wow, that's how far you had to take it because you don't like my thoughts. Okay. Oh, anger, no. Self-agency, I'm good. So when you are yourself, that's why you're not going to be busy in other people's business. You're minding your own business. And when people are in your business, you're thinking, wow, they think they know my body, brain, mind, heart, and self. Oh, I can't prove it because I tried to tell my, at the time, boyfriend that I do believe in God, not because of fear. It's in my bones. And he's with his effective realism. No, I'm right. And I'm like, no, you're not. And I'm going to marry this guy. He actively thinks he's right. Like, for real, effective realism, to perceive it as a body that perceives somebody. I know I'm right. No, you're not. You actively are denying. I see myself. I just spoke words to you and you have no shits. But it's okay. I don't actually think it's a big deal because I do like different opinions. Like, for real, political, religious, you name it, because that's when empowered masculines and empowered feminines get together. We love it. I love it. I love it. You'll love it. That's Seinfeld from one of his skits. So, integrity. It is not about the action, but its purpose. It is also about the action, but the intent is what Sadhguru was trying to say. The question is, are you doing what you do for the larger well-being or your personal benefit? And while it may seem that every single person on the face of this planet uses social media to talk about themselves, and I know I talk a lot about myself too, some of us have the bigger picture in mind. In my case, it's you can be you, like I'm being me. But you can be you, empowered from your little butthole of a 3-year-old like I am right now. And no, you don't have to though. So restorative, embodied, self-aware, accountable, regulating people, nobody has to be anything. But if you do want to hear a little bit more, 2 seconds for me to find something that I had. Where are you? One moment, and then we'll go. We'll have some channeled guidance perhaps if I'm able to on the full moon. But the gift of life and this miracle of life for those of us who do live with God, Jesus, and the Holy Spirit in our hearts is cherished. Even Neil deGrasse talks about how you won't be reborn genetically in the future. So sciences and spirituality, they come together to share with us how those monsters lurking in one's mind, those negative thinkers, yes, those are all maladaptive patterns of behavior, the drinking, the drugging, the fucking, the inner outer critic, and they are not Lucifer. They are actively people who could be helped, but they don't want it, and that's why that split is very clear. They also use this word like manipulating, and in fact, they take everything out of context, and I do it a little bit too sometimes, but my point is they will take it so that you can isolate and become only their group, like the flat earthers. That's when you're going to know you have a group of people who have chosen that their ideas are on pedestals. We don't put anything on a pedestal, so there's no evil source, and there's no Lucifer demons to be blaming, faulting, revenging, battling. The superhero, supervillain is for people who need a special purpose in life, because their human secondary consciousness doesn't like to sit in darkness. Meaningness. It's called meaning. The existential psychologists, they call it the human dilemma. I'm like, it's not a dilemma, it's a condition. And actively, when you own your brain, now I know it's 2 sides, and yourself and your body and all of it. It's like, yeah, cool, so what's up? Oh, I don't like that I need to wake up and not know when I'm going to wake up again. But I had Marcus Aurelius give me the wisdom of why worry about something that you can't do anything about, and then God giving me this gift called, life and Jesus and all. So when someone says life is suffering, I'm like, well, that's not my truth, but I did hear it is the truth or one of the main truths of Buddhism. So I'm guessing you want to go down that path where life is felt as suffering, and then again, temporal junction, you could get out of it and learn to. So you get the drift, and that's where no battle, the body, mind, heart, self of every person is healable if you take on the therapeutic journey if you need that one. Otherwise, you allow your emotional, mental, and physical mastery journey to take place, and in time, you'll just be yourself. And that's where you will be able to appreciate every person that comes into your life, because you are owning the solo self. So you live spiritually, even if you're not. Scientifically, you can call it the higher self, no exiles, no protectors, secure attachment, non-traumatized, healthy self-regulation skills. The kingdom of God is within you, yes, and it's with your ventral vagal state that you'll access it, which will only be consistently brought forth if you create resiliency and a restorative embodiment with the self-awareness, accountability, and regulation of, oh, look, he broke up with me. I didn't lose him. Again, actively, I'm happy. What was it? The seed of enlightenment is there in every being. Thank you, Sadhguru. Yes. And when you hear a parakeet, which is all humans suck, humanity this, humanity that, you're like, well, your faith in humanity was broken. Apparently, you don't want to go and learn how to love yourself first with Patrick Tiahan, so you won't be healing that. But on the other hand, some of us, the 5D collective at IHP, come on over. And this lovely full moon, I know that those who are in our collective are like, wow, we have so much amazing stuff going on. Every one of those new voices that are out there are not battling. We are just chirping along with our 4D and 3D brothers and sisters. Now, they might not like our chirps, but it's okay, because we all have this thing called subjective opinions and experiences, and nobody's saying anything is better or not. That's exactly why they don't like us. Oh, we don't do the right or wrong because we don't cast stones. We don't play God. We know who God is actively. We don't have to do that which intelligence does. Dark matter, dark energy, please don't implode. We would like to keep living. I know I do, as I love experiencing myself, meaning consciousness, and Maria is part of that, obviously. I do exist in my future life. I don't know what my name will be, but I do know who my husband is, and therefore it's fun to share that story. And when people say, polyamory, you're all masochists. No, we're not. And no, we won't be poly enough. No, we don't do any of that either. It's more of, wow, you don't know love yet, do you? Secure attachment. First get that. Then you won't regret any of your relationships, because they will all be a bonus in life, versus apparently what are codependent type relationships with are people who need pats on each other's backs. Some people want it to happen. Some wish it would happen, and others make it happen. Thank you, Michael Jordan. So I get to bring together human, spiritual, and spirituality elements to explore human evolution, consciousness, and you being yourself. and with mindfulness and mindset practices and all that great stuff. If you want, you can do mentorship. You can subscribe to the paid subscription-based model content, and that's on Fanbase or Spotify, and or you can sign up for our future retreats, and or you can sign up for future masterclass, which will be built once we have a number. I haven't decided on that number. But we also do 5D Mystic Enlightenment Functional Adult Relationship stories right here. I do with Disney, Pixar, all of it, and it's to heal trauma together and bring forth your humanity. Mine is right here, so is yours, and that's where integrated brains, restorative, embodied, self-aware, accountable, regulating people, mystic, spiritual, and mindful. I do the woo-woo pseudoscience because I respect the sciences, and again, when somebody proves to you something that you've known your entire life because you have clairs, you're like, but I didn't go about my business trying to prove it. And someone would say, but your brain, it works in a certain way. And I'll be like, you know what? You make a valid point. Again, I can accept that maybe I don't know what the fuck I'm talking about. And that is the exact thing that the pause self people don't like. You need to know why. No, it's actively an unconscious fear they have that they could own if only they owned their 0-1-year-old and their left mode, which comes online at the age of 2. So whatever you're spitting out, shh. Can you sit in silence in the state of awareness all by myself? Okay, I'm going to stop right now because I can do it, but I do know there are those who can't. I do have inner stillness, so do the people who create resiliency in their restorative, embodied, self-aware, accountable, regulating life. They raise their frequency and they ground themselves because of being anchored in ventral vagal state. So the ones who will not be able, quote unquote, they can. But there's a journey. The ones who have a very big fear receptor going wonky need Patrick Tian, Terry Real, Basil Vanderkolk, Stephen Porges, and the sooner they get there, the better, and they will have less regret, and they will not be wasting their life with those who they do basically their unfinished business with. But you could also meet a Terry Real, and that unfinished business becomes finished, and you grow a happy ever after. So the forever after. Oh, this is the end, my only friend, the end. I was wondering why my teenage friends were making such a big deal out of one breakup. And I'm like, look, he didn't get away. Again, I thought we'd stay friends immediately, and I do not believe that if he is that easily persuaded that he's the one at all, because believe me, you don't have integrity in the way that you may think you when you are an inconsistent communicator, because you don't know how to walk a walk or talk a talk. People who have integrity, they will know how to walk a walk and talk a talk, and that's a securely attached person, which is why they don't change it up on themselves and they don't change it up on others. Pure consciousness of a person is basically a person who can take ownership. That's why self-acceptance is I can be crooked, you can be crooked, we all can be crooked. That's thank you, Terry Real. And when you do love yourself first, as a functional child adult, you already know this. It's like second nature, which is what I'm trying to present to you. The ones who don't notice that their child parts come up whenever they meet confidence and they don't like it, yeah, that's something called if only you would become aware of yourself in a way that would be, I don't crap on me, I won't crap on another, and I choose to be confident on purpose while maintaining that which is integrity. Which means I don't gang up on people and start using words in ways that are spiteful or whatever. I mean, I was a teen the last time somebody's like, it's not personal. And I'm like, wait, I can keep my heart open and it isn't personal. So sticks and stones won't break my bones and words will never harm me. And when those people say until they do, I say you can own your brain, your mind, your heart, your body, yourself by going to therapy, getting self-empowered, becoming a functional adult, and then moving into becoming a functional inner child adult and stand in your own 2 feet and 2 hands. And at that point, you won't be bothered by people who have true confidence from their 0-1-year-old attached panicky. 3 to 7 shame submissive. She doesn't get panicky or submissive. She might get anxious, yes. Freeze of all ages, 11, 12, flight, and fight, 14, 15, 16. They don't rule me because my 14-month-old don't. And when I see people who are ruled by their 14-month-old and their 3-year-old, but they got a 16-year-old who's spiteful, that ain't Lucifer. That's just a poor, insecure human being who, what other people say about you doesn't matter, but you should not be ashamed of what you have done, integrity. So there are no regrets here. And if there's one thing that I do know I learned from the biggest of all those cowards as an adolescent, yes, I asked for forgiveness from the one and only, and I did repent, if you will, and that is a very strong, heavy word. nothing compared to what others will have faced. So I will let you all know, though, how easy it is to have a compassionate mind because of being a self-accepting human being. Take me as I am. I am a sinner. I am flawed, but I will walk with integrity, and I will not be a person who will hurt another human being physically, emotionally, or mentally on purpose in any way, shape, or form. However, if I'm in physical threat, I'm going to save myself. And if anybody doesn't understand how that works, the first 3 years of your life, watch Robert Sapolsky. I know which men I take to my island, and one of them it's because I saw them in action. The other one, it's because facades do a good job at pretending, and they just give image, but the other ones are, long story short, empowered masculines are beautiful to be with. The masculines, the feminines, those who are not empowered, they're beautiful to be with too, but we'll recognize them, and they will not have crossed over the threshold, but they will think they have. It's okay though. A nurturer is always a nurturer, so empowered feminines and masculine create a strong herd, which is what's fun about this lovely full moon. And about all the ascension energies as the 5D collective continues to move forth here at IHP. We welcome all of those who welcome differences, and that means all. So anybody want to talk about religion their way, anybody want to talk about politics their way, we respect to the best of our ability. And no, it won't be perfect, and we actively do not involve trolls or those who are because that's not an expanding conversation. No. So I'm talking not a panel of experts in the very way. No, I'm talking a panel of mature, mental, emotional, physical people who have fun and who don't actively think that there's a comedian out there in the world who could not offend anyone. No, anyone can be offended by anything. I'm happy that comedians are still there. I hope that we can continue to maintain our physical safety. In the meantime, I do vote, and hopefully, with laws and all that, like we can maintain a world where we can have conversations. I do believe that will be the case because I'm a political science major, and so humanities and social sciences share me, yes, the smarts. Though I know where we're at. There is no threat as long as that asteroid don't hit us. And in the meantime, for the mystic, well, we're having a lot of fun because Anima Mundi and Akash. I mean, wow. This is the time to remember. Da, 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 da. So we'll be back with more. And again, if I do have an opportunity, we'll have some more for the full moon. In the meantime, you crossed over that threshold. Thank you for joining us. We love you, and we do thank and bow down to our brothers and sisters of fear, because they are supporting those who have big trauma charges in their bones, muscles, and tissues, and live in environments where danger is physically always there and suffering actively is there, not just because of a story, but because there's suffering. And we hope that we can make our globe, our lovely Earth, a safe place, humanly speaking. As for the asteroid, well, the scientists hopefully can continue figuring out how to ensure we don't get hit. And then that we can have a planet to go to, and that we can continue to rebalance what has been imbalanced. We do know that, but nobody needs punishing. That's actively just the people who want to punish each other because they have a charge. We have equanimity. It's called calm centeredness and discerning love. Thank you, God. And they, however, again, it's intelligence, really. I'm a little small speck like anybody else, which is why we are no thingness. Thank you, Shiva, for coming on in. Handling Kali, they make a pair with Krishna Lila. That's the prefrontal cortex again. Integrated brains, mindfully aware, with mindset skills expanding. Because sensations, images, affects, behaviors, and meanings continue to be in your hands. You master you of your 14-month-old. And then we also have that lovely inner growth mindset that I get to use here. Unconsciously loving yourself with flaws and imperfections over and over and over again. And that's by accepting and welcoming each other with differences. No shaming, no blaming, no faulting, no revenging, no masks. And when we do meet the masks, we know, oh, they're afraid. It's okay. We'll leave it alone because, we're not going to be doing any of the codependent martyr superior stuff. So we are not their therapists and they are not ours. And we, again, welcome each other. And that's how we're going to wrap it up. Have a great one.